New York is cold and snowy during the winter. If you watch the channel, you know because I cry about it all of the time. And that's why today I actually want to talk about shoes. To be specific, winterized skate shoes. I started looking into getting a new pair of shoes after I got my snow skate, and I realized that I just needed a better option for my footwear when I was skating the snow skate because it gets slippery and I don't want my feet getting wet or cold when I'm out there having a fun skate session. And so I kind of ran into similar problems that I have always had when looking for skate shoes. So some brands don't make skate shoes below like a 7 or an 8. I am a 5 in skate shoes, so that kind of takes a lot of options off the table. In fact, Ambition now has a winter snow skate shoe out, but not in my size, they don't. So that was automatically off the table. But what actually surprised me the most was the lack of reviews for winterized skate shoes. So typically, if you look up a shoe, you can find a review on it, but when it came to the winterized versions of these shoes, pretty much all I could find easily was people basically reading out the descriptions on the website. Like, no one was skating them, no one was even wearing them, or they were just wearing them and reading the description that I can read myself. So I picked up a pair and wanted to talk about them. The two companies I found that had shoes I both liked the design of and seemed promising, came in my size, were Etnies and Vans. The Vans actually seemed like they were a little bit warmer, but I ultimately went with the Etnies shoe because I liked the slightly lower top. I didn't quite want my ankle to be completely covered by the shoe. I wanted a little bit more mobility. I'm a big fan of mids, so when I saw this shoe, I figured it would be a good choice. From what I found, winterized shoes typically had a few similarities. They had some kind of warmer, insulated middle, a water-resistant technology on the outside of the shoe, and some kind of slightly different, I think my friends called it a reverse waffle pattern on the shoe itself, on the sole of the shoe, which I actually totally dig. I think this reverse waffle pattern is my favorite part of this shoe, especially for my snow skate because I have the studded prism grip on it. These little out curves, they grab those studs really well. So it was certainly easier to do something like a shove it in this shoe than it was in a regular skate shoe. Or well, I guess I could just say the New Balance shoe that I tried and a pair of boots. Like, this gripped the snow skate super well. I also think the rubber is slightly different because the other Etnies shoes I have, anything that is a cup sole, had a slightly less rubbery, less grippy sole, and this one seems to feel a little bit grippier. So actually, it almost reminds me of a grippier, grabbier, vulcanized shoe sole, but it is a cup sole. After a little bit of contemplation, I did end up ordering the winterized version of the Jefferson MTWs from Etnies, and I have to say there's really only one thing that I don't like about this shoe. The shoe itself is very comfortable. If you look at these side by side with another slightly chunkier shoe I have from Etnies, which is the Joslins, you can see that the cushions surrounding the ankles are much thicker, which makes it a warmer shoe. It is very thick and very plush and cushiony around your ankle as well as the tongue. I'm not really sure why they went with the round laces, but I do dig them. They're cool. The best part is that they are completely waterproof. I was walking around through all kinds of snow on warmer days and cooler days, and the snow never sinks in. It just runs off the outside of the shoe, so the waterproofing definitely works with these shoes. Board feel and all of that, even on a regular skateboard, was actually quite comfortable. I did enjoy freestyling in these and just skating these in general the day I took them out. We've had pretty, like, not wonderful weather, so I think I've skated these only 4 times. I wouldn't typically make a review on a shoe until I'm done skating it, but by the time I'm done skating this, it's going to be like next winter or perhaps even the winter afterwards. So I just wanted to touch on the topic, as seeing that there's like a, what should we say, a review desert for winterized skate shoes, which leads me to my one gripe, because I really have enjoyed skating these shoes, except for one thing, and that is that the toes are just slightly under insulated. The rest of the shoe is super warm, literally except for this teeny tiny section right here. It's not super warm. However, this doesn't surprise me, because pretty much the only information on this Jefferson MTW winterized skate shoe is an Etnies ad for them from like 6 years ago, I think it was. And looking at how they presented the shoe in the video, you can tell it was being worn in like a rather warm winter climate. Like, I don't think these were designed or tested for New York or Canada or Sweden, you know. My guess is that these were designed for a Southern California winter, which makes sense. That's where these companies are, and that's where their biggest audience is, and who they probably should be catering to if they want to have successful businesses. So I do get it. For reference, I was mostly skating these shoes between 20 degrees and 28 or 30 degrees. So it was pretty cold, but it wasn't incredibly freezing out when I was wearing them. And like, my toes weren't frozen by any means, but they were a little bit chilly in the beginning of the sessions, and then as I warmed up myself and as I skated more and more and more, towards the end, the coldness, the chilliness did go away, since the rest of my foot was warm, so it kind of kept the blood flowing, it helped my feet heat back up a little bit from the chilly breeze and the chilly weather. And so I've worn these shoes with and without 2 pairs of socks. So I've worn them with 1 pair of sock and have found my toes to be a little bit cold. If I wear 2 pairs of socks, my toes were absolutely fine. And then I also found that 1 pair of socks plus a very good proper warm-up to like really get the blood pumping into my feet also made my toes plenty toasty, and I was really quite fine. But yeah, that's really my only gripe, is if I was to redesign the shoe, I would ask to try to make the toes slightly warmer, but I imagine they didn't want to make it bulky, right? This is your flick spot, so there's always pros and cons that people are weighing when they design shoes. So I imagine that there was a sacrifice that they chose when deciding how thick to make this and how insulated to make the toes. Or what trade-off there would be to make this warmer, I'm not sure. But I know that I like these shoes, and I know that I like them for a very specific reason, and that's because I've been gravitating towards them when the weather's cold. When I do go outside, I choose these shoes. So I have a couple pairs of shoes that I can choose from, and I typically find that the pair my hand gravitates towards is the one I like the most. And every day when it's cold, I'm gravitating towards these shoes. So if I'm gonna snow skate, I'm wearing these shoes. If I'm going to go out and skate in 25-degree weather, I'm going to be wearing these shoes. And to me, that's the highest marker of whether I actually like these shoes or not. But this is just 1 pair of shoes. And the other reason I wanted to make this video was to just kind of start maybe a little discourse or a conversation in the comments. Like, let me know your experience. Have you skated a winterized shoe? Are there any that you would recommend or not recommend, and why? I think the why is always really important. Like, even though the toes are a little chilly, I would still recommend this. Just letting the person know that, you know, if you get like really cold toes, then either 2 pairs of socks or maybe look for a different warmer pair. But I'm curious what you skate, because we all skate in different climates, we're all skating different winters, and if you do skate a cold or a snowy winter, what do you do about shoes? Because I want to keep skating no matter how cold the weather is, so it's always good to have a little bit of a list or a couple shoes in mind that you can have in your back pocket to make sure that you're enjoying your skate session and not too cold. So let me know, and I hope you're having a good day. And I hope this video made sense. This is one of the very few times that I recorded something with no script and no notes. So hopefully this went well.